From billboards to branded vehicles, from skits on TikTok to veiled speeches at cultural festival, politicians are campaigning subtly somewhere, months, even years before the law permits. And I bet you can see that too. And the cost, well, governance suffers, laws are undermined, and public trust continues to erode. According to Section 94, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022, campaigns must begin 150 days before polling and end 24 hours prior. Now, INEC reports widespread violations disguised as philanthropy, appreciation tours, and social media. No legal sanctions for campaigns launched before the 150-day window. And INEC also warns this trend inflates campaign costs, distorts fairness, and also distracts elected officials from governance.
Now, let's be clear. This isn't about just about timing. It's about accountability. When politicians start campaigning 2 years early, who's minding the store? Joining us for this discussion this morning is the Executive Director of the Electoral College, Mr. Kunle Lawal. One welcome to you, Mr. Lawal, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Morning, and it's a pleasure always to be here.
Now, what makes this 2027 electoral season very different and special? I mean, in the minds of most Nigerians, they would probably think next year is 2027, 2026. Nobody has mentioned anything about 2026. And since the advent of this democracy, this uninterrupted leg of our democracy, 26 years since 1999, I have never seen or witnessed in my adult life so much interest in the next electoral cycle. 2 years, a whole 2 years, because it started before now. What's really driving this serious campaigning, and how much of a concern is this?
I would love to say I knew exactly what was driving this amount of campaigns, but I'd like to say we can say it's basically just going off the chart. Now, here's how it looks to the Nigerian electorate. First and foremost, I would like to say I think the massive campaigns are the diversion from true governance, especially when you see with the ruling party. As regards other parties, I would not say they aren't campaigning. I would not say the coalition or the major opposition parties are not having a conversation, but they're responding to the reactions of the incumbent party. Now, I can say just 1 year into the incumbent party having been power, they've been campaigning quite, elaborately. And I'd like to say that the Electoral Act, as much as it provides a stop on campaigns and till 150 days before, and then we'll move on next, nobody can punish it. INEC is not giving power to punish it. Yes, the Electoral Act says it's wrong, but it does not empower INEC, security force. It does not empower anyone to punish it. So it's wrong. And because it just says it's wrong, I think the abuse by the incumbent party on, the next 4 years and etc., while we're not discussing this present years, is something that I think in our 26 years of democracy is unprecedented and has no standing. It's generally, for me, very surprising. There's no even conversation on what we should be doing now. Everybody's trying to secure the next 4 years.
Securing the next 4 years is starting to look like it's affecting governance. I mean, we've seen politicians use cultural events, their religious gathering, just like we saw former Kaduna State Governor just a few days ago going to a church in the southeast and then encouraging the people to get their PVCs and ensure that they vote. And sometimes this is shrouded in a way that, many think the electoral body wouldn't know. But what has been the response from the electoral umpire, which truly should be independent and shouldn't fail in wielding the big stick on anyone who defies what the Constitution states when it comes to voting? It seems like INEC is just, quiet and just allowing every single thing happen. Or what's your take on that?
No, I must allude to the fact. Just while I was on this program, I saw a message coming from, I think, Cable or one of the newspaper reports, and INEC clearly states that it does not have the power to punish anyone for premature campaigns. That was released, I think, yesterday night, statement yesterday night or this morning for me to just be seeing it. So INEC clearly states that it does not have the power to do that. So it's not like INEC is not. Like I said, we have the laws. Laws clearly states, or the act clearly states when it should be done. It just does not empower INEC to punish anyone. And if INEC does not have the power to enforce such matters, then we're in a, how do I put it, we're in a lost situation. And for me, it's critical to note that an incumbent and the opposition have actually been abusing this in large amounts, but I'd like to point fingers at the incumbents a bit more because they're the ones with the massive awards and the massive campaign slogans talking about the campaigns ahead.
Thank you very much, Kunle. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, there's a news item here that says police and INEC move against early campaigns, and I'll also tell you what the incumbent ruling party is saying about this. Just stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick timeout. You're welcome back to Breakfast Central, and we're currently discussing the politics of early campaigning as we inch towards 2027. The Electoral Act gives 150 days before polling, but we've seen a widespread abuse of this. And join us for this analysis is Mr. Kunle Lawal. Now, Kunle, just before we went on the break, Joe asked you a question about INEC and what INEC is doing about it. You also explained to us that, look, the Electoral Act does not make provisions for punitive measures when there are violations of this aspect of the law. But the former chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Jega, is lamenting that that parties have already started campaigns, and it says the ruling APC is the worst offender. And even the Inspector General of Police has vowed to enforce the law against violators. I'm wondering what provision of the law he will use to enforce and if this is just talk. But the APC is saying that, look, we've not officially sanctioned this campaign, so we are working, it's not affecting governance. But what is happening is that our fans, our well-wishers, they've taken it upon themselves to erect these billboards and do all these things that people are terming campaigns. Does that argument hold water?
For me, it doesn't. And there's a conversation on if it were, let's say, opposing party. Excuse me. If it were an opposing party, I don't think they will allow those billboards up. If you look at Abuja generally, look at Lagos, Port Harcourt, Calabar, you don't see opposing party billboard. So you can't say well wishes and then wish the campaigns away. I must critically state that though the incumbent party kind of plays with what is exactly going on, I must say that it's allowed this happen. And you cannot ignore the fact that even though it seems like the electorate seem in support, they have so many well-wishers or etc., it seems, and if I can say this, it seems that by buying in or by putting up these billboards or whatever, certain favors are being granted by the incumbent party. So I think it's generally a game of musical chairs, and you provide a campaign poster or make something big and something else is granted you in favors. So the incumbent party cannot allege that it doesn't know what's going on or it's well wishers. Well wishers. And I'll be honest, I've lived between Abuja and Lagos for more than 24 years. And in those 24 years, I've never seen campaigns this massive, especially 2 years before an election. Surprising.
The president, we did hear and also made mention that people should stop. And information did come out from the presidency that the campaigns, any campaigns should not be accepted. In other words, they should stop. And we've had some of the members of the ruling party, and we've asked them why focus has shifted, not just from governance, but it has shifted to early campaigns, of which they have denied. And they've simply said, no, that's wrong. There's no indication of early campaigns. But we do see the billboards. We see some of them on the roads. There's one on the airport, not too far off as well. And you said that, I mean, you've shuttled between Lagos and Abuja, and I'm sure you've also seen some of these campaigns too. But the question right now is, what does this automatically do to the minds of every Nigerian who is starting to really think that governance is being abandoned and politics seems to be the quest of the day or of this administration? And what can you say in terms of looking at it from an electoral way or electoral role, being one who has looked at elections carefully? Do you think this will in any way harm Nigeria's electoral process going forward?
Yes, I think the first thing it does is make people that do not belong to the incumbent party or belong to the opposition, the first thing it does is that it tells them there's no competition or there's no need to for an election in 2027. Remember that in 2023, based on INEC saying they were going to transmit elections electronically, though INEC legally has a mandate to transmit elections as it deems fit, according to the law, but INEC made a promise to Nigerians publicly and on media that it was going to transmit electronically. There was already a distrust with INEC. Now, feeding on that distrust with the massive campaigns that are going on, what we project is that first and foremost, there will be poor participation in 2027. And secondly, most people just allude to the fact that it is political continua, which means that there will be no opposition and basically the incumbent party is going to continue moving on. And that's, for me, the most disruptive thing that could happen for our democracy, because we're still building and trying to understand and trying to protect the fact that INEC, I will not say INEC spoke outside its core in 2023, which dropped electoral participation to 28%. By our projections right now, we're seeing a less than 21% participation in 2027 election. And this is because of these early campaigns, which generally sends a message that the elections will be free and fair in 2027.
Now, Mr. Lawal, the former chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, did say there are no sanctions whatsoever bridging campaigns earlier than 150 days to an election. You did allude to that. That although Section 94, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act of 2022 imposes a maximum fine of 500,000 naira for campaigning within 24 hours of an election, we're currently seeing talks of electoral reforms ongoing. Should this also be looked into in the electoral reforms? And do you not see any sort of positivity coming out of this early campaigns or heightened political activities we're seeing in the country? Because people, I mean, you're a voter education advocate, so people being sensitized about the politics and the need to get their voters card and how their votes count. So surely there should be some good coming out of this, or do you think otherwise?
I don't see any good coming out of this. And in the electoral reforms we're putting, I think one of the four things we sent forward to the National Assembly, which would be reviewed and of course will be there to have conversations over, is this particular issue in which there must be punitive measures, severe punitive measures. I don't think a fine of 500,000 makes any sense in present time. There must be high punitive measures to this being done. Secondly, I'd say as we look at it, look at the situation generally, I'm yet to see something positive about the current situation. There is clearly nothing that I think I can explain could be positive happening with this early campaigning, but distorting the general situation of the general system of how a country should work. So first and foremost, you have less resolving governance, and though the president and everybody comes out to say they are not in support of this, when the president visits the National Assembly, you see the roar, you see the songs on your mandate, etc. It makes the president, I don't know, say one thing and acting another. You see that also with the new party chairman, and he's always, you know, it's his job actually to discuss and back on the party, but he's really, you know, they're really playing more a conversation game, and the coalition and the opposition, they're seriously discussing. If you've heard most of their stalwarts, they're discussing 2027 whether the incumbent will win, the incumbent will not win. I think the incumbent party has set the tone for this general misnomer, and for me, I think it's sad looking at the pictures. You know, Asokoro will say to, I'm looking at pictures you're viewing now. Asokoro will say to Warimpa, you know, the massive posters that are everywhere. I've never seen Abuja do this, and I think I've been an adult quite some time in the electoral system, and you know, it's just shocking. So I can't see anything positive about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Executive Director of the Electoral College, Mr. Kule Lawal. Hopefully, when a member of the APC joins us, would find a way to ask again if truly the campaigns have indeed stopped or it never started, if at all. But then again, it's a good light to shine, especially for all political campaigners and parties. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.